Hey, guys, what's happening?
Howdy, howdy.
You're late, Gandalf.
A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
All right. How's everybody doing today? Everybody
I'm
have a
doing good. How
great,
are you?
doing great. Hope everybody had a great, what was yesterday? Labor Day? Yeah, yesterday
Yes.
was Labor Day. Everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. Let's pop through the chat real quick and say hi to everybody. Hello, Cricks and Crickets. How you doing, Cobb?
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Kelly? Thanos, welcome. And Mr. Largo, greetings, sir. Everybody's just saying hi to each other. All right. Oh, and Frank, what's up, my man? You see Largo's comment?
I am.
He's not eating them. He's got them in the pipe, Jim. That's how you do it. It's either you drink those shrooms in mushroom tea or you smoke them in a pipe. That old two weed was good stuff, right, Gandalf?
I spoke the elven moongrass.
Oh, I don't know where you get your shit from.
I have a dealer down by the lake. He's a hobbit.
Down by the creek.
Yep.
Down by the Brandywine River.
Yes.
All right. So what's new today?
Oh, I don't know. Let's just check out the news. News.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to jump right into the news. Let's jump into the news. Let me bring up my slides first.
News.
Hold on real quick. Let's say howdy to Mr. Ted Darklaw.
Howdy, Ted.
All right. So news from the crick today.
News.
There's no good news like Gary good news. So first of all, congratulations to How the Dope Toys. Sunday night was their 1-year anniversary for their first video on YouTube. They hit 500 subs and 1,000 follows on Instagram, all in the same time slot. So congratulations, fellas. Couldn't happen to two nicer guys. So proud of you. You guys keep rolling. We'll be at 1,000 subs and 10,000 follows on Instagram soon enough. And also, shout out to Wilhelm Toy and Hobby, who also hit 500 subs on YouTube last week.
Awesome.
At some point in time. So congratulations, Will. And you guys, your show will be growing too real fast, I'm sure, now that you hit the 500, putting out some great content, and you and Jim popping into each other's streams to help each other out is going to help grow each other's channels also. So, and then Hexastack. Travis isn't here, but he's only got a couple days left on his Kickstarter. It's down to the wire, so he's only at like $5,000 out of the 24. But Travis has announced that he is now going to be working with Ramen Toys, him and Ace, once he gets the money together for the tooling and actually get the Hexastack mass produced. So good for him. I'm proud of him too. And he also, anybody, like right now, it's $25 for a starter kit, which is 6 stands. One of them includes the storage display. And even if it doesn't fund, anybody that backed the Kickstarter will actually get the Kickstarter pricing and then not have to pay the standard business pricing. I know Travis is working with Ace. He's also setting up actual storefront on Shopify or some other place like that. So keep rolling, Travis. You'll get there, brother. And some news tied into last week's topic of Operation Monster Force. Fresh Monkey Fiction announced Dr. Caligari sometime, I think over the weekend or late last week, they announced this for pre-order. So this one and the Donner Family Party, which is out, which is a Frankenstein dude, and then the Invisible Man, which is called the Eraser. Those guys are all pre-ordered, due to ship out in September next year is the tentative date. And the guys that are currently available, other than that for pre-order, the other characters who went through are going to be shipping out sometime in January. So that line is going to do great things, and it sucks that it's all stuck at BBTS, but what are you going to do? And yes, as Ted says, back the stack. All right. Moving into tonight's topic, we are going to discuss storytelling. This is why it's called Crickside Storytellers tonight. So thank you for joining us. Of course, as most people know, I tell a lot of stories in my photographs, and Gandalf here, under his pen name of Lucas Grail, is an author. So figured it'd be a good topic for us to discuss. So
No, I'm not. I'm not an author.
You're not an author?
I'm just a wizard.
You're just a wizard.
Oh, 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 oh.
I need to have Eldor on here, and you and Eldor can have a whole stream, just the two of you.
Wizard streaming. I think that's a good idea.
That's an awesome idea. All right. So there's 5 key elements to a story. Would you agree, Caleb Kozak?
Paper, pen, book, word.
Pipe full of
Periods.
mushrooms. Yeah, Frank, that's one of the questions that we're still waiting to find out. From what I saw at PowerCon, and when I talked to the guy, he said the coats were going to be made out of really loose material, kind of like the gi on Ryu from Jada Toys, but everybody's idea of what's actually soft and pliable is different. So we'll see how it actually works. It's still probably going to limit the articulation a little bit, but I mean, with a dude like Dr. Caligari, do you really need to have that much articulation for him? I mean, he's going to be basically just a soldier. The guys that matter, like Van Helsing and Dracula, those guys have free range of movement, so they should be pretty good. And then, of course, you got the Squatch and the Werewolf coming. That should be pretty well articulated as well.
Interesting.
Right? I hear that, Thanos. Someone with some big backers go all in on the Hexastacks and get that funded. All right, so there's 5 key elements to telling a story. The first one, main one, characters. The main and supporting people or animals that are going to be in the story. So, Gandalf, when you were getting ready to write your books, how much thought do you put into like your character development?
None. The characters are just alive. I see them inside my own mind, and then I put them onto paper.
Now, you and I have talked in the past, and when you're developing some of your stories, and partially what you said is true because your characters kind of just pop into your head, and then you kind of flesh them out from there. Once you get a main character, how do you go about supporting him with supporting cast?
I make more main characters, and then I just don't talk about them as much. I think
so. Basically, every story you tell has a bunch of main characters that could potentially spin off into another story if
every
you decide to.
Person on the planet is a main character in their own mind, right? So
Very
they
true.
all have their own thoughts, feelings, and actions. And to write a character as if they're not a main character would be to turn them into less than a human, which none of them are. So if you flesh them all out as a main character, but you just write a story about one person, then it makes them a lot more believable.
That's a good point. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, when I'm doing stories as far as photo stories go, like characters I've created already in my mind. That's how I get, because of the figures, or else they were created for me based depending on what figure I'm using, and then the story just kind of makes itself up from there. So, but that's a very important part, having a good character base and the support for it.
I think
So
you can tell when a person makes a character and they don't really care about them, or they're just very shallow. And if you write a character, so if you're writing a story and then you write a character and then you have a main character and a side character, that side character is still a person with
it's true though. You can
tendencies.
definitely
the
see
story's just not about them.
Yeah, you can definitely see it, especially like in movies and TV, where if there's a character that's really, basically an NPC. I mean, there's always background characters, but there's always like some NPC characters, and like some of them, you're just like, hey, they're pretty cool, and then there's no story behind them whatsoever, right? I mean, it's kind of like what happened with Boba Fett, right? In Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett was just kind of a small bit part, and then everybody was like, oh my god, that guy's so awesome, right? And then they fleshed him out after that, right? But Lucas had no intent on doing anything with Boba Fett at that point in time.
I did not.
Thanks. All right, so element number 2 is the setting, the location, time period, mood of the story. Is it dark? Is it Gotham City? Is it post-apocalyptic? Is it in the past, outer space? Set out in the country like on Golden Pond or something like that, right? So I know a lot of times when I'm doing photo stories, I just happen to make wherever I am work, or else I just build a dio that will make it work and then fudge it all together, which is what most of us photo storytellers do. But coming from an author's point of view, what's your process for deciding that?
What I think would be cool. Really, that's it. I don't really care about the setting. I just think that would this look cool? Like with a Lotus, I just wrote what I thought would be cool, because I mean,
so
in a futuristic town,
do you base your setting around the type of character, or do you stick the character in whatever setting you think is going to be cool? So like, let's just say you came up with Lotus, right? And Lotus isn't going to work mostly on a farm, right?
I could 100% have worked it that way though if I wanted to.
Yeah, you could have worked it that way, but you wouldn't have been able to stay on the farm and just milking cows the whole time, because that would have been a boring story and pointless, right?
So, I write the character and the setting, because I'm not writing a story when I'm writing a story. I'm telling the story of an already existing thing that just I'm taking from the universe. So it's like, it's writing a story and asking how you choose things is like asking, how did you decide to go to Walmart? It's like, I didn't decide to go to Walmart. Walmart already exists, and that's just where I get my food, right?
Right.
Lotus already exists, and she just exists inside of a city, because that's just how that works, right? It's not a choice that I made. It's just how existence works. I don't know. It's confusing.
I agree.
It's like drawing a bird in a tree. That's just where birds exist, right? Birds just are in trees.
Yes. Yeah.
Tigers are
I think
in the
setting, is important to the story, but I think the setting basically fleshes itself out depending on your characters, right? You're not going to write a story about dwarves and like have them living, I mean, you could have them living anywhere, but I mean, from what we know of literature today, most stories about dwarves are either in the mountains or in a cave, something like that, right? So
exactly.
I mean, you could take them somewhere else, but I think your characters kind of drive your setting as well. Hey, thanks for stopping in, Lawrence. And yes, Luke wears his sunglasses at night because he's so cool. The sun shines on him 24 hours a day.
I will not argue that.
All
I
right, ready for
think
the? Are you ready for the next element?
I
You got more
think
to add.
I'm gonna stop being a wizard for a second. I'm just gonna say I think that people that really focus on the 5 elements of storytelling as like a really set in stone thing are people that don't really understand how to write stories properly, because nobody really
I
cares
think
about the setting and nobody really cares about even the characters of what they are. People care more about the actual story itself and the threads that tie them together. So you could write a story about an elf that lives in the mountains that has nothing to do with anything related to elves, that it's like a magical wizard technological cyberpunk story,
right.
and people would still read it if it's a good story. They don't really
I
care
agree.
about the setting. The setting's just a thing that people like the feeling of, right? Like it's
Right.
like a home cooked meal. It doesn't matter if your mom cooked you a cheeseburger or if your mom cooked you a turkey. You're gonna like it either way because it was cooked by your mom, because it's a home cooked meal.
Right.
That's why
I
people
agree.
that like fantasy books really just like fantasy books, because they like the setting of a fantasy story. But you could write Tolkien's story with all the exact same elements and everything, just change it into a sci-fi story, and those fantasy people wouldn't like it because it's not a fantasy book.
I
If
agree.
the sci-fi people would like it though, because it's a sci-fi book.
Yeah, I think like I'm just reviewing these 5 elements because these are the basics, right? But there are people that write stories, and you can tell the stories that are written focusing on the 5 key elements. And those people, like you said, it's very robotic. The reading of that book, right? It's kind of
Yeah,
like it's just okay, I got my plot.
it's a routine.
Yeah, it's exactly. All right, so moving on to the next element, which is the plot, right? Now, here's my take on the plot, right? Which is basically the sequence of events, what's going to happen, the whole thing, right? I've written I've started writing a few books in the past and never finished because I've always struggled with just fleshing out the dialogue. So for me, a comic book format would probably be better for me. But like I know from talking to you in the course of writing Lotus and the books that you're currently writing that, the plot, if you have a point A and a point Z, the plot of what happens in the middle, if you really structure the plot out, your book's going to sound really robotic as
Yeah,
opposed to just kind of free flowing with, because I know you write like I do, right? You just sit down and let the words flow, you download from the universe and let it flow out you know, into the computer, and that's how you do it, right? Because
yep.
if you sit there and do the whole
Here's the
thing,
thing
right, like it's
with
like writing a book
plots.
report. You got
Yeah,
to have the table of contents, and that's what you do, right? Bop, 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 bop. And that's
yep.
what your story ends up sounding like, as opposed to
Nobody's
like
life is set in stone, right? And when you're writing a story, I'd say that the best storytellers are the ones that can convince you that that story actually happened, or that these people actually existed. And that's how you can tell if it's a really good story, is that you could believe that this, even suspending the ideas that of like the laws of reality for a second,
right,
but you
right,
could believe that these people at least existed, right? These people lived these things in a different universe where this was all possible.
right. Yeah, you
But
definitely got to
people's
have
lives are
characters and a
not
plot that are where you can relate to them, right? You got to have them
alive. They're alive.
relatable, right?
Yeah, they're alive, right, in the story. And people's lives are
Right.
not set in stone. So you're like, if you wrote a story that every plot point was already known, that'd be like living a life that everything you do is already known, right? And that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So
No.
if you sit down and write naturally just how that story would go along, that's just how life works, right? So it's
Yep.
just the way that would, it makes it better. Yes, having a good idea for what your character should have an end goal, right? So the end goal drives the character's decisions every time, right? It's the character. If you're really a good author, I'd say that you are living through your character as you're writing, right? So
Right.
you aren't, when you're writing, you aren't Ed Kozak. You are uh whatever character, right? You're, let's say, John Smith, right?
I don't want
You're
to be
John
John
Smith.
Schmidt.
You're John Smith, right? That's your guy's
I'm
name,
Duncan
John Doe.
McLeod. I'm
Okay,
Duncan McLeod.
you're Duncan McLeod, okay? And you're writing the character from the point of view of Duncan McLeod. And Duncan really wants to stop an alien invasion, right? So
Yep.
every choice that you make for that character has to be driven by the fact that he wants to stop an alien invasion, right?
Correct.
But he's still a human. So he at some points is gonna make mistakes. He's still gonna make choices that don't always go along with his
Yeah,
end
he's
goal.
gonna
'Cause
have those times where he's just ready to give up because he
Yeah.
can't fucking do it, right?
there's people that really, really want to lose weight, but they don't always eat the healthiest option, right?
Right,
So if you really want to do something, you're not always going to do what the best choice for you is, which
right.
is just, if you're really writing a human character, that's how human characters should be. Is they're not perfect, but you can tell that there's always that little spark of passion underneath whatever they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's
And
not
like,
perfectly coherent to their end goal.
correct. And that's what I said, right? It's better to just have a point A, like a starting point, and you want to end up at point Z, right? Like Amazon, right? A to
Yeah.
Z. What happens in the middle, it's best to just flesh that out, right? Like when I did that whole video with the Predator action figure and stuff, right? I knew like what I wanted to do kind of, but I had no idea how I was going to get from point A to point B, right? And I was sitting here one day and I just came up with the title, "You're Not Welcome Here," and that's what I did, right? And I mean,
Also, if
I
you lock yourself into a super strict structure, you're going to end up writing it like a robot, because you're not going to really at the
right,
any point be
and
excited for what's going
you're
to
not
come
gonna
next.
relate to your own
Yeah.
characters either, right? And that's the problem, right? You're gonna end up writing a book report or a thesis instead of something you're passionate about. So
Yeah, you should be interested in your own character's story, right?
right,
Which, if you already know all of it, you're just writing it and being bored the whole time, right?
yep.
You're not invested into the story. Like,
No,
you
you're
could
basically
tell.
writing a book to say you wrote a book. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
So, all right. I don't know what our number we're on, but this is the next one. The conflict. The main problem or challenge that the characters face in the story. It can be internal or external.
Now, I was once told that you cannot write a story without a conflict, and I 100% do not believe that. I think you can make a very, very, very interesting story without any conflict. I think you just need to write it properly.
I agree. And I think it's the conflict is only it's part of our human experience, right? Because we want to feel that, that, you know, rise, fall, and redemption
Yeah.
process, right? Or, we want to see the hero that rises out of, nowhere, right? The guy off the street that ends up becoming the millionaire, or you know, the little skinny dude that doesn't have any love and then he turns into Captain America, right? And ends up saving the world, right? Those kind of things, right? We want to, as a human being, our ego and our minds want that for a story because it makes us feel like there's hope. But if
Yeah.
you wrote the whole book based on a hope, then it's really not a conflict, but it's still the same principle, right? You still
I've always
need
wanted
that
to.
driver. And maybe that's what the better word for a conflict would be, just a driver of the story,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I've always wanted to write a book about a guy that's just like a farmer, and there's nothing that goes wrong or anything that happens really in the story. It's just he's a farmer, and he just gets up one day, milks the cow, goes home, goes to sleep, gets
Right.
up, gets the eggs, go home, go to sleep. Just
I
like
mean,
a normal person's
if you
life.
if you kept the book entertaining, right? Like have him, singing to the chickens when he's out feeding them, or whistling when he's milking the cows, right? Those kind of things. You could do a whole book, at least a short story, and never have a conflict, right?
Yeah. I mean, that would be kind of the conflict of the story, because people get in the technicality of like, well, then your conflict would be him having to milk the cows or get the eggs, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So
You still have to have a driver, right? And that's where people get. I think people take the word conflict too literally when they're writing, right? That they got to have some form of,
big epic
experience that's bad, or some kind of catastrophe or something happened that the person has to overcome, right?
Yeah.
So the word conflict really should not be conflict. It should be, the driver of the story.
Well, I
right?
feel
'Cause
like
that's what
maybe
it really
people have
is.
just twisted the word conflict into thinking that it's a big awful thing,
True,
rather than
right?
conflict's probably original origin is just like a thing that happened.
Yeah, his conflict could be the fact that the chickens are hungry and he has to go to town to get the grain to feed the chickens, and that's just, taking time away from him, making pies with his wife. I don't know, right? I mean, there's, they don't have to be these huge things. And that's what I'm saying. People nowadays, when they're telling stories, making movies, writing books, They always have to have these huge catastrophes, these epic conflicts that are just, so overarching that they take up, they take away from the actual character development. I mean, like, look at DC, what they do in most of their movies, right? That's the problem with DC. They spend so much emphasis on the actual conflict and the resolution that they forget to develop their characters. And then they also think that because, well, we've developed these characters in the comic books since the 20s, yeah, but the comic book version of Batman is not the Batman we've seen on the screen. The comic book version of Wonder Woman is not the Wonder Woman that we've seen on screen, right? Plus, in the comic books, they've gone through 1,000 iterations, those characters, right? And it just blows my mind because, like, the comic book, Marvel and DC companies, they can do some great story arcs in the comics and really dive into character development and all this stuff, right? And then it comes to making a movie and they just completely, like I said, they spend so much time worried about the conflict. And
that's because the people who actually work on the comics actually like the story, and the people who work on the movies don't care at all. They're just there for the money.
Yep. That's a very valid point. So yeah, we'll just change conflict to driver. I think that's a good way to put that. And the last element, of course, yes, is the resolution of the outcome of the conflict and how it is solved. Now, that again doesn't need to be the conflict, right? The resolution could be simple enough that the farmer can't, spend time with his wife because he's got to go get the grain. So instead of making pies, she just rides in the truck with him, right? Easy resolution for an easy conflict. Driver to the story, right?
Yep. And I think the resolution doesn't have to always make sense. Because I feel like people really have gotten into this idea where, well, the resolution of the book needs to close the whole book out and make everything make sense and make things make sense to the story. But you could write a book in the end of the book because nobody dies the way that they think they're going to die, right?
Right.
Like the stories are just, it's something like stories are just metaphors for life, right? So they're just a distraction to watch somebody else live. And if you really want to write a story, you could end the story by the dude just getting shot in the head randomly, right? Like that's how people die sometimes. They just go out, right? Someone just having a spontaneous heart attack. It doesn't have to make sense. And it shouldn't always make sense. Right?
Well, it's you said, though, we as a society have put so much focus on making sure we tie everything up lovingly with a bow at the end of it all that, the resolution has to tie back to, the 7 flashbacks in the very beginning of the story. And it might not, right? You could start out with point A that the dude's, super healthy, athletic, vegan who eats healthy all the time, never snacks, never smokes, never drinks, nothing but water, blah, blah, blah. And his conflict is, having to deal with, all the vices of this world, right? And resisting them. And then everybody's going to want some wonderful thing like he rides off into the sunset at 125.
But he actually gets diabetes.
There's people like that. That end up dying when they're 48 of a heart attack.
Yep.
Your pa's doctor, right, was that way. He was perfectly healthy dude, never smoked, never drank, ran marathons, 49 years old, walking to work, bam, docked over dead with a heart attack. But like you said, like I was saying, and you said, right, you got in society, we always want everything tied up with this wonderful little red ribbon at the end of it all, right? All right, so that's the end of the 5 key elements. So let's get rid of that. Does anybody have any comments about that before we move on to the next section of slides? Did you see Ted's comment, Gandalf?
I did. It's nice to hear some comments from Ted. Well,
he's probably packaging up hella dope orders since he's got to get, well, no, that was yesterday. So today's Tuesday. So mail went out today. So he better have them all done. I don't want anybody had bad complaints, Ted, about how it took longer than it's supposed to. All right. So now we're going to move on to the next section, which is what we kind of do here. Most of us in this community do, right? Which is kind of telling a story through maybe a single picture or a handful of pictures. Yep, good job, Ted. I don't want to have to write you up or give you a disciplinary action. So that's what we kind of do here in this community, right? Is a lot of us take pictures, and like Thanos, he does some wild pictures on Hump Day Wednesday and other days of the week that are they're not safe for work. Let's put it that way most of the time, but they're fun. He does a good job with them, and that single picture that he does, you can kind of tell the whole story. So all right. So action figure pictures for storytelling, which, as I said, a lot of us here do. So we're going to go through a couple of few of the people that I follow on Instagram and some of their pictures, and just kind of talk about the pictures. All right, Gandalf?
This is perfectly fine with me.
I have your stamp of approval.
Oh.
You shall not pass.
I laugh like Santa Claus.
So, first guy I want to talk about, We're on with Toys 89, my boy Frank. He does a lot of product pictures for Hella Dope and some other companies. I think Entertainment Earth maybe, and some other ones. But like he does basically single shots or maybe two shots together. But like these characters, Snake Eyes and the other ninja, I can't remember his name.
The Jade Dragon.
They're already developed characters, but like this picture here, just like if even if you don't know the characters, you can kind of feel the story that Frank is, trying to portray in this single image, right? I mean, you got some ninjas in the background, all kind of kneeling in their, their stance, and Snake Eyes is handing off a sword to the ninja, passing on the Kamakura. Thank you, Lawrence. So, Frank does a good job, right? And this is just one of the pictures of many that he's done. He's done some epic wrestling ones. I was going to grab his picture of Undertaker throwing Mankind off the steel cage in the action figure form, because that really happened. It was like a huge deal when that happened in the WWE, WWF era, maybe. I can't remember what time that was. But here's a couple more, Frank. Here's Casino La Cucaracha Gomez. You can see like this alien dude that he shot, one of the skulls with the green blood splurting out of its neck. And, then of course, Ren and Stimpy. You can't go wrong with Ren and Stimpy. Oh, no worry, Thanos. I was just giving your pictures all sorts of compliments. Oh, you did hear that. Okay. All right. But Ren and Stimpy, they're, like I said, these characters are already characters developed, but you're still telling this one little story. Like, I can see in this picture Pinky going, gee, Brain, what are we going to do tonight? And Brain, same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try and take over the world. I can just see that just in this picture, right? Anything to add, Gandalf?
No, I think what you're saying is exactly right. You can tell the pictures don't need to be 18 different frames if you can tell a picture in one word. I mean, if you can tell a story in one picture. I mean, paintings have always just been one picture. And
like I said, right? Picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
All right. So next is Emerald Knight Photos. John from Emerald Knight Photos. Met him at PowerCon. Really cool guy. He does some great pictures. Like here, you got 89 Batman with the 89 Batmobile in front of a nice street dial. I had to kind of crop this a little bit so it fit the slide, but like he's added the fog, and you can just see Batman like staring down the alley at some villains, right? some muggers or whatever, right? Where does he get those wonderful toys? So anyway, so John, yeah, he does these really cool photos, kind of like, Frank, really detailed pictures, tells a whole elaborate story just in one quick, snapshot. So really like what John's doing here. Here's a couple more that he did. He's got Barbarian He-Man getting captured by some skeleton knights. And here he's got Indiana Jones knocking out Cobra Commander. And I'm sure Indy's fist hurt after hitting Cobra's, chrome face mask. But, it's still a cool picture. And just the poses and everything just elicit this whole, like you could take one of these pictures and just expand on this story forever, right? You could write a whole book just based on, or short story anyway, based on just these photographs, right? These still shots. And next is the Teflon 3, my buddy Rob. So Rob and I kind of do some collaboration stories and stuff, and him and I do a little bit different than Frank and John do as far as a lot of times we do pictures, but we also do pictures with, word bubbles, which kind of help tell the whole story. And, sometimes this story gets put out there in a single shot like this one, which is kind of a throwback to what's the show?
The A-Team.
What's that?
The
Walking Dead.
A-Team.
No, it's The Walking Dead. He's got the barbed wire on the bat. And, but then we have other ones where we might do 10 slides, all with word bubbles, like a comic book telling the story as you go. So here's a couple that Rob did. Like here's one with word bubbles, right? Two treasure hunters, looking for treasure. And I think this picture here had a second shot that was like the typical, villain coming to steal the treasure that they found. And then here's a great shot of Action Force's covert Condor figure with a duffel bag and his pistol in his hand. And Rob just took this on his kitchen table with a couple boxes behind him. And it's like, you can see a whole thing of, Condor stealing, money or plans or something, right? And it's just the whole story is put out there in just those couple of shots. Excuse me, I need to drink coffee. Play some music for me, Luke. I got to mute. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Thanos. So next, Ted Darklaw. Now, Ted does some fun stories in a picture that kind of his pictures tell the story more about what their show's going to be about, but it's still the same process and the same principle, right? I mean, this was kind of the return from PowerCon. PowerCon was anyway a Motu based toy show. Kind of turned into the indie toy show, but it's still very fantasy based. So, here you got the dude holding He-Man's power sword in front of Castle Grayskull. So it was just kind of a lead up to, the show going to be about, everything that happened at PowerCon. And here's a couple other ones Ted did. So here's a Father's Day special, just kind of a fun thing because Brick and Highly Articulated were on there, and they do AWOC Talk or whatever their AWOC show is, where they review the comic book and talk about the plot in the comic books and stuff. And so he's got the AWOCs here carrying the dude on a pole, and then in this one he's got the dude smoking a cigarette out back on some pallets in a dumpster, talking about the state of helidope. Now, I'm not sure if Ted was trying to relay that helidope was back alley, or if he was just setting it there for.
It's a smoking pile of garbage.
Yep. We all know it's not, but
It's not. It's not.
And then next we have Luke the Lotus. I don't know who this guy is.
Don't know who that guy is. Probably a loser.
Yeah, kind of a bonehead, smart ass
Honestly.
kid. It's not about the quality of pictures, Ted. It's all about the story
the passion behind them.
Yep. And as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Like, look at this garbage picture that's on the screen. This is awesome. The quality of that.
This picture is great, dude. I can see winter in Japan, and this samurai Miyamoto Musashi is walking to challenge somebody with a sword in hand, and he knows, because he's just a badass motherfucker, that he's going to win, and it's just a waste of his time, right?
Can you say that in a Japanese accent?
No, but you can.
No, I can't.
What?
Konnichiwa. That's all I know. That's the only thing in Japanese I know. Ni hao.
You can say badass in a Japanese samurai accent. Let's hear it.
I can't. I don't know how to say it. I don't want to be racist. We can't be racist.
Okay. So anyway, great picture. You can see the little bit of snow traces in the background, and you got down at a low angle, even though it was frozen ground. So good for you. Here's a couple more, like you can see Wukong just, coming to kick some butt and, bouncing through the forest like little bunny foo-foo. And
I actually drew those nunchucks in. Those aren't real nunchucks.
Did you really?
Yeah, that was all drawn in. I made that.
That is impressive, dude. I did not know that. I thought you actually made something like, with a string and a little stick or something.
No, I drew that.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You're so talented.
I know.
So Fei Long, you
Uh-huh.
can see him,
The flying dragon.
Yeah, doing his Bruce Lee impersonation.
That's actually completely ripped off of a scene from Fists of Fury, which is my favorite Bruce Lee movie. But yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, you're using the Wukong background, right? Which the backgrounds for the figura obscuras are just amazing. So good job picture-wise.
I feel.
And then just to cap things off, I threw a couple of mine in here. Here's my Indiana Jones inside my Egyptian dio.
When you lit your diorama on fire?
I didn't light it on fire.
It was on fire.
Charcoaled the foam a little bit. No, that was the first time I did flame inside of it is when I started it on fire. This time I made sure he was down far enough that it didn't, but it still charcoaled it. So, because that's a lot of heat coming off 4 or 5 matches all stuck together. So, but great picture anyway, right? You can see Indy coming down. I wish I had like, what's the Egyptian god that was actually in the tomb?
Thoth.
Yeah. Instead of, King Tut's sarcophagus, but it still works. Yeah, Anubis, right? So great story. I mean, of course, everybody knows Indiana Jones, but it's just a great way to kind of add on to that story or retell the story, right? Kind of like you did with this one here. You just kind of took the story that existed and just made it your own.
Yeah.
And then here, like this one over here is my Stargate, and I got an AWOC
awesome pictures.
On one side, and then an Action Force dude on the other side, kind of like Planet of the Apes-esque, kind of thing where you're going through a portal into a different dimension, different world, or just different time period, right? You don't know. But then I got Dubon and Boreas here, going through the woods on a dreary day. He's got his head down with his cloak up and going to hunt some vampires as he does. So
reminds me of myself.
Yeah. And I just want everybody to to realize, and this is something like, the Teflon Rob, when I first started collaborating with him and stuff, he had taken 1,000 pictures and never posted them because he was too worried about them not being good enough, or nobody liking them and everything else. And I kept telling him, take the pictures for you, tell the story you want to tell, and just do it for you, right? Everything else will come. And so we started collaborating in January last year, and I think he had like 150 followers on Instagram. And then once I started, collabing with him, and we did a lot of cool photo stories together and things like that. I mean, he's up to like 500 or 600 followers now. So I mean,
Nice.
the rest of it'll come, right? And I didn't do anything for him. I just gave him a little, encouragement to just do it. Quit being worried about how many follows you're going to get and how many likes you're going to get. Just do it. If you got a story or a picture you want to take, do it. Do it for yourself. Everything else will come. And of course, in the background here, we got the wonderful waterfall and the Eternal Flame, which is one of our favorite
Super awesome
hiking places to go. So, and that's the end of our photo shows. Gandalf.
Huh. Oh.
Thanks, Thanos. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it. I'm trying to get Random Diorama to make one. He's going to be doing this new thing where he's like going to give himself a certain time limit on a stream and put some chat ideas of a dio into a random generator, and then whatever it spits out, Stargate or somebody told him to do the Ark of the Covenant, whatever the generator comes up from the suggestions, he's got to actually build in a single stream. So should be pretty cool. Where's my mouse? I have some photographer friends, and I was trying to get them to come shoot my shelves, but got tired of waiting on them. Started doing them myself. It started rough, but it's getting better. Hey, your pictures are great, man. I love your pictures. I enjoy seeing what you come up with. Yeah, like I do pictures with my phone. Luke does pictures with his phone. Sometimes I break out my DSLR TI6 or whatever the hell it is, but it's like I can get some great quality pictures of that, but it's such, for me, it's just
so much of a hassle.
It's a pain in the ass to take that with me into the woods. It's a pain in the ass to get the photo card and put it in the computer, then download them on the computer and then put them on Instagram. And it's easier just to do them on my phone. So I do a lot of pictures just on my phone. And then I know Luke uses his phone. Rob uses an iPhone. I know Frank uses a phone and some kind of digital camera, but I don't think his is the same one that I have. So,
aloha, Matt.
Whoops. Wrong one. Maddie, what's going on, my man? And here's another guy. He takes a lot of, Maddie does a lot of outdoor photography. He's always in the woods. This guy's in the woods more than you and I are, dude. He's done, I think, almost every mountain in the Adirondacks. He's did all the peaks in the Adirondacks, and yeah, he does a lot of cool outdoor photography of flowers and streams and wildlife and all of it. So, yeah, the lights. It's most of my lights that I have are just cheap ones that I bought off Amazon for $10. I bought a couple of little LED light battery powered ones from Walmart and the dollar store, and just used those to give a little bit of color. And it's really not about the actual light, as long as you have some kind of light that's bright enough. Like the lights in my house in the ceiling are just garbage. They don't put off enough light to generate a picture. But if I use some of my little photography lights, it all comes down to just how you position them, and the angle you put the lighting at, and how the shadows are cast and everything else. And it's really just, I mean, I'll take 10, 15 pictures sometimes just to get that one, maybe even more, just to get that one shot, because I keep farting around with how the light's set and with the angle I'm taking the picture at. That's why I've been taking pictures of action figures outdoors since I was old enough to have my own camera, which was probably when I was 5 or 6. And that's why I really enjoy taking outdoor shots. And of course, you don't have to worry about a diode. And I love natural lighting because you can get the shadow you want, things like that. Yeah, that definitely restricts some angles and also some of the lighting because it's hard to get lighting to shine down, like, from back angles and things like that. So, yeah, it's always nice to have a diode. Of course, not everybody has the ability to have a 3 foot by 6 foot dial like I do, which gives you lots of space and will be utilized very heavily this winter since I won't be able to have green shots in the winter. They'll all be white for the most part. So, what else you want to talk about, Goof? I mean, Gandalf? Uh-oh, Gandalf hit the pipe too hard. He's unconscious.
I had to go pee. I'm sorry. What are we talking about?
That's awesome. I know it's hard to get that robe up and, out of the way and don't drop your pipe.
My legs don't work like they used to before, man.
Yeah.
All
I was
this
just
traveling
saying,
across the country.
yeah.
It's hard to walk to Mordor.
Yeah,
I should have just taken the Eagles.
like, since we're talking about storytellers, right? I mean, like, Tolkien was one of the pinnacles of storytelling, right? Storytellers. I mean, the guy built an entire universe, world, whatever you want to call it. And not only did he build that, flesh out characters, flesh out races, flesh out stages of a universe. He created languages, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
He created the universes around the languages. Like, he was a
Right.
linguist first. That was his
Yep.
whole thing. He loved languages. I think he spoke
Yeah.
like 7 of them. And then
Yep.
he wrote the Elven language and was like, well, maybe I'll just write a story around this.
Yeah. And then, like, he used things that he saw, right, growing up. Like, Hobbiton's based on a little town that he lived close to when he was growing up, right? And the wars are based on his experience from being in World War One. It's just like he took, like we were talking about, right, taking real life experiences and putting them into your characters so they're relatable and alive.
Exactly.
Not sure how many summits, but more than 15 in the past few years, a mix of high peaks and lesser ones. Yeah, I knew you did a lot. So, yeah, we got to get together and have a cup of coffee soon, Maddie. So hit me up. We'll meet at McDonald's for some coffee, maybe some dinner, since we always talk about coffee, then we end up eating too. So,
and then he'll get me some pizza on the way back.
No.
No?
Get your own damn pizza, boy.
Rude.
You're a wizard. Just make it magically appear. Yeah. So, like, a lot of people, they spend a lot of time and money on finding the right equipment, finding the right lights. And I mean, I know Frank Ramatoyes, he does a lot of his photography like on an end table or something in his toy room, right? Or on his end table in his bedroom. I mean, it really comes down to just trying to get the right setup and then just play around till you get the right angle, the right picture you want to take so you can tell the story you want to tell.
The best craftsman blames his tools, right?
Yeah, he's got mushrooms in the pipe today. He put the Toby away and went right for the shrooms.
Elven moongrass, actually, but that's okay.
You know what? Let's play my photo story. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me, man. I don't care.
Let's see if we can get this to play. All right. Let me see if I can get this to work. Share screen. Gandalf, let me know if you can see this. Can you see it?
I can see it. Full screen it, though. Turn the audio down a little bit.
That good?
Yeah. Was that the picture of the Trade Federation ship at the end of that?
I don't know. It was just some picture I found on StreamYard, or not StreamYard, Canva.
I exclusively drink my skooma, so it's okay. I'm a red water skooma kind of guy also.
Hey, Oz, what's happening, my man? So yeah, I mean, like when I was creating that photo story, right? I just had the character, and like I said, I had that thing about, you're not welcome here in my head. Those damn alien stories just keep getting me, man. So, it was like it just came right. I took Jack Stone, aka Covert Condor, and brought her out to the woods and just took some photos, and then had to do some filler shots, with him driving up to the mountains and things like that, or and then you made me the phone out of clay. I mean, like that kitchen dial, right? Like I said, I spent probably maybe $15 building that kitchen dial. It was just some paint and garbage put all in there. And, you can just do a little story making it doesn't take a lot of time, a lot of money to do it. I mean, it did take some time, but not a lot of time. But it didn't take a lot of money, which a lot of people spend too much money on building dials and setups for their figures when you don't need to.
Exactly.
So, well, that was all that I had. You have anything you want to talk about?
Remember to care about your story and don't just do stories because you want people to like your stories, because then you're not actually writing a story. You're just writing words on a page rather than actually telling a story that you care about, because the greatest storytellers of all times are the ones that actually cared about their stories, rather than just the people that like made up stories for no reason, because they all just like didn't have any reason to do it. So they don't actually have they haven't put any of themselves inside of it, which means that they don't actually have any good story. So yeah, it doesn't matter if you write a story. You could be the best storyteller on the planet, but if you don't care about the story you're writing, then it's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's like the stories about going back to Tolkien, right? Him and C.S. Lewis, who did Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series, right? And there was some other author, I can't remember who that was now at the time, but they would all get together and sit at the pub and just talk about their characters, passionately together, and take each other's inputs on if they were stuck with something or, where to go, right? It was like, but they were all very passionate about their stories, and they just helped each other along. But if you don't have that passion for your characters, you don't give a shit about your characters or your story, it's just gonna, it's gonna relate. It's gonna be evident in your writing, right? Because people are gonna know that you just wrote this story to sell it or whatever, right?
100%. I agree.
You gotta have passion about what you're doing, right? Because it's if you're not passionate about it, there's no point in doing it. It's like I tell people all the time when they're collecting toys, like you hear some of these people that have to be a completist, and they're buying characters and spending money on these figures that they don't really care about, just so they can have a complete series. It's like when you're doing that, it's not fun anymore. You know what I mean? It's maybe for some people it is, but most people that are completists don't really enjoy the hobby. They're doing it for other reasons, right? I mean, some of it's the thrill of the hunt, but that when that hunt's over, you
And you
don't
got
have
another. You gotta
right,
just go on to another line.
right. Yeah, you
And
got
you
to
just
go
keep
on to
spending money.
another. Yeah, exactly. When that hunt's over, then you got to go find something else to hunt, and it's like that's not fun. I mean, it's temporarily fun, but not permanently fun. And that's how it shows up in your books when you're not passionate about your characters. Oh, thanks, Matt. So, anybody have any comments or anything they want to
Question,
talk about?
comments, or concerns?
Yeah. Thank you for
See,
calling.
it's the only
Active
time we will ever
Suzette
talk
speaking.
about storytelling. So this is the only time you ever have the opportunity to question. We're never
The
talking about this
author.
again. Never again.
It's time to question the author. In the meantime, so now I just lost what I was going to say. Oh, brain. Rearranging my shelves a little bit.
So it's going to be my 18th birthday pretty soon.
Yes, it is.
Just
It's all good. Us.
5 days from now.
Is it 5 days from now?
5 days from now.
Your birthday prize is shipped. Hopefully it gets here in time, but I don't think it's going to.
Next stream going to be a 18th birthday stream.
Your birthday's Sunday, right? So yeah, we could show off what you got, sing happy birthday to you, and blow out a candle. Where does Luke get his mushrooms, and how much do they influence his writing? I'll let you take that one.
I have a hobbit that lives down by the creek, and he supports me with my elven moongrass and my dwarven deep mine mushrooms, and they pretty much always influence my writing.
You don't smoke the ones with the red jelly inside, do you?
I do.
Oh, those are the ones you smoke? Okay.
Those are called vampiric blood mushrooms, but they just give you they're like cocaine pretty much.
Sweet. So you can write like 20,000 words in a night?
Yeah, that's how I did that.
Oh, good. Good to know. Hey, there's Travis. Where is it? I can't find my mouse. There it is. Yes, you are late, but you have arrived. So thanks for showing up. Appreciate it, brother. What's up, Travis? We already talked about Back to Stack and told everybody here, which everybody here probably already knew about the deal you're working, trying to get with Mr. Ace there. Thank you for smashing that like button. Yeah, everybody smash the like button. I tell you to subscribe, but everybody here is subscribed already, I'm sure. So it was pretty cool on Sunday night on Hella Dope Toys when they reached their 500, and then we're talking about other people's YouTube channels that were in the chat, and I can't remember who the guy was, but maybe Robert's Infinite Realms or no, Mike Fee. Mike Fee. But like he got 10, 15 subscribers because I started dumping everybody's YouTube channels into the chat so they could, go and follow and subscribe to him and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I gained like 4 or 5 followers that night myself. So pretty cool time.
I dare everyone in the chat to go out at 11 p.m. tonight, your time, and start whistling.
We had a pretty big month of August with some celestial experiences, right?
Alien dreams, do you mean?
No, we had like the blue moon, which is not supposed to happen again for like another decade or something, and some planetary alignments, and Mercury went back into.
Did you see Jupiter last night
again? No, I did not.
It was.
I can't see anything. There's too many damn trees here, man.
Right next to the moon.
I'll have to go on.
It's there right now again. You can see it tonight. Yeah. Where's the moon?
I'll have to walk out to the mailbox again and see if I can see it from there.
Arcturus is pretty bright in the sky right now also. Let's see if there's anything going on tonight.
There's some meteor, right, that's supposed to fly close enough to Earth that won't be seen again for another 500 years from Earth. So I think that's...
Yes, C2023 P1 Nishimura.
Yeah, that's like the 22nd or something of September.
Tonight.
That's tonight?
9/05/2023.
Oh, okay, so that's tonight. What time? Northern Hemisphere.
There's the whole night.
Okay, cool. So I'll have to get out there and check that out. And then I know there's another supermoon this month. I think that might be the 22nd of September. And a couple other things going on this month. So pretty cool. And then there's currently 5 planets in retrograde, which if anybody doesn't understand what retrograde is.
Don't know what that means.
So the planets being in retrograde just basically means that they are at the point in their orbit where they appear to be orbiting backwards from their normal orbit. And it's really just an optical illusion based on the orbit speeds and the spot in the orbit around the sun that we're actually in. So because we don't orbit in a circle, we kind of orbit in an egg shape. So
ovular.
Yeah. So
you can't whistle. You should try learning.
Who says they can't whistle?
Travis.
Damn it, Travis. Is there anything you can do? And Cobb can't whistle either. What the shit? The supermoons were in August. 2 supermoons and a blue moon, i.e. 2 full moons in the month of August. Yes, that was in August.
Not trying
there is another supermoon in September as well, Matt. Thank you for stopping in.
Matthew
does some awesome photography as well. So anybody that likes action figure pics, make sure you check out Matthew's IG. He does some cool stuff. I can't believe that this guy can't.
Try harder, guys. Try harder. You just got to try harder.
You just got to put your lips together and like you're going to kiss your wife and blow some air through it. So easy, a fucking caveman can do it. You should be able to do it. I'm disappointed.
Well, if you can whistle, go outside.
If I had known that,
tonight.
Travis, I would have given you whistling lessons at PowerCon. We had lots of time. So anyway,
are you going to go out and whistle tonight?
I'm going to go out and check the comment out. Yeah, and whistle.
You got to whistle.
What time? What is the comment number going on tonight?
Something Nishimura.
And that's supposedly be seen for another 500 years if the Earth still has inhabitants.
Nishimura. Hideo Nishimura. In Kakewakawa.
We'll just buy you a whistle, then you can go outside and whistle. I'm sure one of your kids has a whistle you can go outside and blow. I mean, neighbors won't care.
You have a flute? Just get a flute.
Yeah, get a flute, clarinet, pan flute, Chinese flute.
I have one of those. I have two of those
Yes, you
actually.
do.
I have a Chinese flute and a pan flute.
Yes, you do. And a couple guitars, and a drum set,
And a mandolin.
and a mandolin,
And a ukulele.
and a ukulele. And you used to have a saxophone.
Yeah.
That was borrowed. Is there anything else you have? You still got a recorder?
Yeah, I've got that recorder.
Did you
Nah,
drop your ice cream bowl?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It was a metal straw.
Oh, very cool. Is that what you're snorting your mushrooms through when you dry them out and grind them up?
No, that's my Elven Moon dust.
Oh. Pucker the lips till it looks like a booty hole. Exactly. That's why. No wife. Yep, that'll do it. I don't have anything else to talk about. So anybody else want to bring up a topic we can bullshit about for another 15, 20 minutes or so?
4 minutes. We have 4 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't read my clock. 4 minutes.
Let's talk about xylophones.
Let's talk about what we're going to talk about next week. What do we want to talk about
Aliens.
next week? Anybody have suggestions?
Aliens.
Should we do? We did aliens already, did we not?
But we've had alien dreams. We've had a lot of alien dreams. Let's talk about that.
So do we want to cover a specific couple?
We've had
aliens?
like 500 alien dreams last night, dude. Listen to
I
these
know.
guys. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them.
I
I've
know.
had at least 4 alien dreams in like the last week and a half. He had one last night, and I also had one last night. It's kind of crazy. I don't know what's going on. I think the aliens are coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
They're trying to kill us. They're going to try.
I
to
had
kill us.
one last week as well. So.
If we mysteriously disappear, it's the aliens. They're going to try
That's
to get
right.
us.
Especially if we're on live stream, if like all of a sudden we vanish with a bright light. Hopefully they're not going to probe us too hard, but you know, I'm no good to them anyway because you know I'm
no, you're
spayed
just chocolate
and neutered, so
spaghetti.
they're not going to do any kind of DNA out of me. So, so yeah, we could do aliens next week. Anybody have?
No, we don't actually have to do aliens next week.
Oh, let's do aliens. Why not?
We already
Let's do
did
something.
aliens.
But let's do a specific alien. Like we could cover the Greys.
Pleiadians. You're from the Pleiades, remember? You did that on your hella dope
yes,
intro.
I am.
Yep,
I'm
so
Pleiadian. You want to do
we'll do
Pleiades?
Pleiades. Yeah, we'll do the Pleiades.
Okay.
You're in
So next
charge of
week-
learning all of it, though.
I already know it all.
Okay, yeah, you live there. I forgot.
That's right. We can discuss the 7 sisters of the Pleiades system and the planet that I come from, the star system.
Which planet is that?
Meredith.
Meredith.
However you want to say it. So yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Unless somebody else has a different suggestion. I mean, we could come out of here and teach you all how to whistle. Well, Cobb, I'll tell you what. I don't know if it was a dream or not. I mean, it was a dream, but I don't know how real it was because it was. I went to
He
bed
met a guy named McCloud.
That's right. I went to bed after
Duncan
the
McCloud.
punk show, and then I had this dream that I was at my ex-wife's house with her and my kids, and there was a dude
I'm
there
one of his
who was
kids.
like, yeah, there's a dude
Just
there
so you
who
guys
was an
know.
experienced alien hunter named Duncan McCloud, who was showing me and Luke how to board up the house and stuff so the aliens couldn't get in, and it was very vivid. And I remember like physically feeling the tension and the stress and all this, you know. And then I heard a door creak, and it was so loud and evident that I couldn't tell because it woke me up if it was actually in my dream or if it was in my house. So then I woke up. It was like 2:30, 2:15 in the morning, and I had to sit there for a minute and go check all my house out, make sure there was no doors that were moved because I live with myself, and all my doors were open and no windows were open. So there's no doors that should have been creaking. So then I was up till whenever.
4 in the morning.
No, I stayed up until 4:00 this afternoon when I decided to take an hour nap. So,
That's why you didn't answer me.
oh, when you originally texted, yeah,
Yeah, I was confused.
that's why I was sleeping for the night.
Hmm.
What's I was saying? Anybody got anything good? We always talk about a little bit of stuff here and there. Throw some toys.
We can talk
in.
about wizards after that.
Oh, let's talk about wizards next week, dude.
But I thought we were doing aliens next week.
Well, we can do the Pleiadians anytime, right? I mean, I live there.
Okay, we can do wizards.
I got ancestors there. I mean, we could go there anytime.
Let's
So
talk about wizards.
Merlin, the
Other wizards.
most awesome wizard ever. And we can go into like some of his actual like mythological history, and we can go into some of his what they believe true history is, and we can cover the 5 wizards that came over in Lord of the Rings.
Gandalf
the Grey, and Saruman the White,
Radagast the Brown,
and the 2 unnamed ones.
the Blue Wizards.
Yep, with no names. And there's some other wizards we can talk about.
Charlemagne and Balthazar.
The whole entire Harry Potter.
No,
but we'll just
No.
skip that because that doesn't.
We're not talking about Harry Potter. It's not real.
Like that one
Those aren't real
comedian
wizards.
said, Harry Potter is really just Star Wars written for wizards.
Honestly,
Did you ever hear that theory?
no, but it's true.
So think about this, right? The guy says,
No, I get it. I get the whole
Harry
thing.
Potter, orphan boy, sent to live with his uncle and his aunt. Uncle doesn't like magic, just like Uncle Owen didn't like the Force. Doesn't want to tell Harry what happened to his parents. Uncle Owen doesn't really want to talk about what happened to Luke's parents. This old wizard dude shows up and teaches him the way. And then an older wizard dude really teaches him the way. And then he falls in love with a girl that he ends up not falling in love with. He ends up loving her like a sister. And that girl ends up falling in love with his best friend. It's the exact same story. So next time you're watching Harry Potter, just remember you're watching a Star Wars ripoff. And Mr. Wonderful, for your answer, they ripped off Star Wars, which ripped off Spaceballs. Okay? Perfect. So it is
Perfect.
Shopify. It is Shopify that Travis is launching his storefront on. So
Perfect.
perfect.
Do you know what that's from?
Nope.
Street Fighter.
From what?
Street Fighter.
Oh, that's why I don't know.
Yeah, you're not a Street Fighter fan. Let's make fun of him for not liking Street Fighter, guys. Bully him in the comments.
I've never been a gamer. I played video games. I've enjoyed playing video games, but I've never enjoyed them enough to consider myself a gamer.
I'm not a gamer, but I've played Street Fighter.
I did play Street Fighter back in the friggin' 80s or 90s at an arcade, but
You're just not good enough because you never got it perfect. That's really what it was. You were just
I
bad.
remember seeing people get perfect. I suck at those kind of games.
Yeah, you're just bad. That's what you just
I
admit.
do not.
It.
I mean,
You're just
come
bad.
on. You know
You're
me,
bad.
dude. I do not have the hand-eye coordination to play video games, right? I mean, I can't see, not even begin to play them. But even back when I was younger, I didn't have the hand-eye coordination. You were like 5 or 6 playing video games when we played like Lego Star Wars together and Lego Indiana Jones and stuff. And you were doing the worlds, and I was just following you because I couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You suck. That's all. Just admit it.
What did you say? He is bad. I am bad. I suck at video games. I was really good at Pac-Man. Really good at Kaboom back in the old Atari days. So Kaboom, he had like these 3 trays of water, and this dude up top would drop bombs, and you had to catch the bombs. And every time like a bomb exploded on the ground, you lost one of your trays.
Uh-huh.
And if you got a score of 300 or 3,000 or whatever, and you took a photo, like an actual photograph, because back then we didn't have digital, photograph of the screen of your TV screen showing the score, you sent that to Atari, and they sent you a patch that was the Kaboom 300 squad or 3,000 squad, whatever it was. And I did that.
Did you get it? You did?
Yes, I did.
Where's your patch?
It's in the shed somewhere. In one of
Awesome.
my boxes and stuff. Yep. Still have that patch. I loved Kaboom.
Do I get that when you die?
You get you get everything when I die, dude.
Awesome. I'm going to wear that around.
Street Fighter ate a lot of my lunch money. Yeah. I was like that with Outrun. Remember Outrun, where you drove the
I remember that.
convertible Porsche?
I was there.
Yeah, with the blonde hussy right next to you.
I wasn't
And
there.
I dumped
wasn't
so
alive.
much coin on Outrun, and then the one,
Coin.
the hell was that one where you were
Septums.
the?
So many septums.
The
Which
hell was
one?
that game?
Which
You
game?
were like,
Hubert?
no, you were running through like with a gun and shooting enemies up, but it was so
Doom?
pathetic. No, it was like a war game kind of thing, but it was pretty pathetic.
Call of Duty?
No, the Call of Duty didn't exist when I was playing games like this, dude.
Battlefield?
No, I'll have to figure that that was out. But I'll remember right after we end the stream. I'll remember.
All right.
So anyway, I don't have anything else. So again,
I don't have anything else.
you can find Gandalf on Instagram at Luke the Lotus. Lotus, speaking of stories, is still available for sale on Amazon, and the offer still holds. If somebody wants to get a signed copy from Luke, I'll get the book and then get it signed for you. Then you can just pay the $10 for the book, softcover book, and the shipping, and I'll get it over to you. Actually, I'll cover the shipping, but $10 for the book. And then if not, you can just buy the digital download for like $1 or $1.99, whatever it is now. I'm not really sure.
99 cents.
There's more stories to come. Yes, Gandalf. All right. And I am, of course, where you guys all know where to find me. So
He smells bad, though. You don't want to find him.
No.
Stay away from him.
Make sure you check out.
No.
There's no hardcover available. It's just soft cover. It's pretty nice though. I don't have mine handy. Yeah, I'll get you one signed up, Travis. We'll all square because you're making those things for me. So,
Wait a minute.
What am I waiting for?
No, you're not waiting for anything.
All right. So anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the topic tonight.
Be prepared for next stream where we talk about wizards.
Yes. We're going to talk about wizards, and Mr. Wizard here is going to discuss the wizards.
Mr. Wizard, isn't that like an old 80s show?
I would love to come to Legion Con. I'm still thinking about coming in for at least a day of it. So don't know yet. Because I might be going to see the Teflon that weekend, and he lives out in New York City, so we might make a day of it if we can get tickets, of course, because they sell out.
Pizza.
Anyway, yeah, pizza would be good right now. What did you have for dinner? Barbecue.
Mom made this thing with like peppers and mushrooms and potatoes and steak all inside of a tinfoil wrap, and then Bo put it on the grill and cooked it up for a little while. It was really good.
Oh yeah, those are good.
A huge thing
all the time. Yeah, those foil packs are good, nice and easy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go out and check the
pizza
comment
tomorrow?
tonight. What's that?
You want to get some pizza tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm not doing anything. We can do pizza tomorrow.
All right.
I'll be done work about 4-ish.
Sounds good to me.
So shoot
Did
me a
you
text.
get a text from my mother?
Yeah, I got you all squared over with that. You're
right.
Fine. Yeah, so text me at like 4:00 tomorrow.
Sounds good.
And I'll let you know if I'm done or
right.
close to done.
Pizza
all
time.
Right. So anybody else? Like
you guys are all invited to come get some pizza with us.
Yeah.
Also.
Anybody that wants to come to New York and go to Julie's Pizza, we'll meet you at Julie's.
All right.
Anyway, thanks everybody. We'll catch you out on the flip side. Play us out, Luke. Don't forget.